Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are. Welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Friday, 25th July, 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. India's stock market faced heavy selling pressure, with the Nifty 50 index dropping almost 400 points. Concerns about a potential India-US trade deal and continuous selling by foreign portfolio investors, FPIs, drove the decline. FPIs withdrew Yuan 1980 crore on July 25th, totaling Yuan 13,551 crore in 5 days. The Sensex fell sharply by 721 points, causing investors to lose Yuan 6.5 lakh crore in one day, with similar drops in the BSE mid-cap and small-cap indices. In contrast, a UK-India trade deal is expected to boost bilateral trade by more than $34 billion yearly, signed by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and UK's Keir Starmer. After a 5-year pause, India has resumed issuing visas to Chinese nationals and is planning future meetings to discuss ongoing border issues. China is witnessing a notable surge in life insurance sales in Hong Kong, fueled by affluent individuals and mainland tourists, marking a 43% increase in the first quarter. Popmart, a Chinese toy maker, is strategically growing its global footprint with ambitions to become a recognized global brand. China is set to host the League of Legends World Championship, with strong anticipation for a successful showing from a mainland team. However, the initial public offering of Henkun New Materials on the Shanghai Stock Exchange, a key supplier to 12-inch integrated circuit wafer factories within China, has been temporarily halted. Rising steel production in China is contributing to a worldwide decline in steel prices, impacting steel manufacturers globally. The global steel market is experiencing turbulence due to a significant drop in prices, driven by increased steel production in China and tariffs imposed by the United States, posing a threat to steel manufacturing industries worldwide. United States beef consumers are finding little solace in the latest cattle count, with prices remaining stubbornly high despite signals that herd reduction might be slowing. Simultaneously, tightened visa regulations and funding cuts in the U.S. are pushing AI specialists, especially foreign students, towards Chinese quantitative investment firms. China is poised to host its 8th yearly AI summit in Shanghai, underscoring its escalating rivalry with the U.S. within the dynamic realm of artificial intelligence. In other news, Pfizer and Thriesbayer have completed a licensing deal, awarding Pfizer exclusive global rights to market Thriesbayer's cancer treatment, SSGGJ77, in exchange for an initial payment of $1.25 billion. Australia's stock market has seen a dip this week, largely driven by difficulties encountered in the mining industry. Russia has sharply decreased its key interest rate by 200 basis points, a move not seen since May 2022, as inflation slows despite increased spending on the war in Ukraine. The Russian parliament has also passed a law criminalizing online searches for extremist content. The MOEX stock market and shares in finance, oil and gas, and transport are under close observation amid ongoing volatility. In other news, President Putin attended a ceremony honoring a deceased former classmate who became a prominent judge. China's Shanghai Composite Index saw a slight decrease of 0.33% as Asian stock markets displayed mixed performance. Market sentiment in China was shaped by trade discussions and upcoming economic announcements. Meanwhile, Japan benefited from the United States' decision to lower auto import tariffs, giving Asian carmakers a boost. The decision had a ripple effect across the region, impacting trade dynamics and industry outlook. European Union stocks faced a volatile period, swayed by global trade dynamics and economic data. Initial declines stemmed from a mix of disappointing earnings and anxieties about U.S. trade relations. However, markets rebounded following President Trump's suggestion of a potentially favorable trade agreement with the EU. Several European corporations have revised their financial projections downward, attributing these changes to the adverse effects of White House trade policies and tariffs. Later, mirroring gains in Japan. European stocks experienced a surge following the announcement of a U.S.-Japan trade agreement. Turning to Iran, diplomats from Europe and Iran met in Istanbul to address the stalled discussions regarding Tehran's nuclear program, with both sides committing to further talks. United Kingdom. The UK is preparing to discuss lingering issues related to the US-UK trade agreement during Donald Trump's upcoming visit. In business developments, Marex Group has purchased UK market maker Winterflood for £103 90 million, expanding its influence in the UK equity market, further solidifying its market position. Mizuho Securities is acquiring a UK renewables M&A advisory firm, signaling a major investment in renewable energy. The UK government has defended its procurement policies, emphasizing that they have opened a $112 billion market for Indian businesses. India. A UK trade deal is expected to boost India's GDP by approximately 0.25%, according to Elara Capital. The Indian government also highlighted its access to the UK's $112 billion procurement market, enabled by existing government agreements. Thailand is currently embroiled in naval clashes with Cambodia, leading to an escalating number of casualties. Economic observers note that Cambodia's economy is more susceptible to disruption given its constrained policy options compared to Thailand. Despite this border conflict, Thai stocks saw a positive close, gaining 4.66 points, with Airports of Thailand (AOT) providing key support, although market sentiment remained largely directed towards developments in US trade negotiation. Shifting focus to US-Taiwan relations, Landing is actively building bridges between the U.S. and Taiwanese startup communities by providing access to a billion-dollar market strategy. Germany grapples with the lingering fallout from CumEx tax schemes, which have drained billions in revenue from European nations, raising questions about the effectiveness of countermeasures. Meanwhile, HSBC is downsizing its equities division in Germany as part of CEO El-Hedari's broader restructuring strategy. Volkswagen's financial head revealed that US import tariffs have cut the company's profits by around $1.50 billion in the first 6 months of the year, causing the business to rethink its financial projections. Market Screener subsequently published a corporate earnings diary, previewing the week ahead. Canada's stock market navigated a volatile week, influenced by both trade anxieties and tech sector strength. Initial hesitancy followed President Trump's comments, questioning a potential trade agreement with Canada. The S&P TX composite, however, rebounded, closing 0.45% higher, fueled by gains in technology stocks and showing positive weekly performance. Marin Katusa's commentary indicates Canada's resurgence as a key player in global mining finance. Beyond the economic sphere, political dynamics are also in play, as suggested by the headline Carney's Muskoka Levin conceals cracks in Canada's united front, hinting at hidden divisions beneath a facade of unity. Japan's markets have seen a fluctuating period, marked by initial gains that later succumbed to broader market anxieties. The Nikkei index briefly touched a one-year peak, spurred by optimism surrounding a newly forged trade agreement, although this rise was accompanied by a dip in bond values. The trade pact between Japan and the United States initially provided a significant uplift to Japanese shares, reflecting investor confidence in strengthened economic ties. Furthermore, Quantum, a Japanese artificial intelligence firm, has revealed its intention to procure 3,000 BTC, signaling a move into the cryptocurrency space amidst the backdrop of evolving trade dynamics with the U.S. United States grapples with a significant housing affordability crisis, revealing that 5 of the world's 10 most unaffordable housing markets are within its borders, according to a May study. The study analyzed the ratio of median home prices to median income. In international trade, U.S. aircraft manufacturer Boeing has reportedly benefited from trade agreements established during the Trump administration. These agreements included commitments from participating countries to increase their purchases of Boeing aircraft, although the direct impact of the administration's trade strategies on these orders remains under assessment. South Korea's economy surged, marking its most rapid expansion in more than a year during the second quarter. The nation is currently involved in trade talks with the United States, aiming to balance geopolitical risks and discover prospects within the technology sector, especially considering the disrupted global supply chains. As part of these discussions, South Korea is strategically using former President Trump's interest in the shipbuilding industry to potentially shape tariff negotiations. Domestically, loan regulations are causing cancellations of real estate subscriptions, including those linked to MAFI programs. To further negotiations, a South Korean minister recently met with the U.S. Commerce Secretary to seek a tariff agreement. Saudi Arabia has seen a 15% surge in real estate loans, now totaling $246 billion, coupled with new legislation allowing foreign property ownership. Ninja, a local company, achieved unicorn status after a funding round spearheaded by Riyadh Capital. Transitioning to international relations, a Saudi investment delegation's visit to Syria culminated in 47 agreements valued at $6 billion. In healthcare, the Saudi Arabia IVF market Outlook report 2025-2033 projects substantial growth, fueled by increasing infertility rates, advancements in medical technology, government support, and evolving societal norms. South Africa's markets showed investor caution ahead of the weekend. A survey hinted at slightly improved factory sentiment, despite generally poor conditions. Following a budget resolution, South Africa aims to secure $500 in foreign exchange funding. Expanding its presence, Airbus launched a new support hub in Johannesburg. Brazil's pig iron industry faces potential shutdowns as demand wanes due to tariff dispute. Financially, Carrefour intends to refinance around $70 billion in Brazilian debt using euro-denominated instruments. Cryptocurrency firm BitGo has officially launched a Brazilian branch offering custody and treasury services for digital assets to local financial institutions. United States retail sales saw a modest increase of 0.1% in May, signaling a potential slowdown in consumer spending. Amidst fluctuating market conditions, the Federal Reserve is closely monitoring economic indicators to determine future monetary policy adjustments. Turning to Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced new measures to support the automotive industry, aiming to boost electric vehicle production. The Canadian government also faces increasing pressure to address housing affordability challenges in major urban centers. In Brazil, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is pushing for stronger regional trade ties within South America, seeking to reduce reliance on external markets. The Brazilian economy is showing signs of recovery, but high unemployment remains a concern for many citizens. Meanwhile, in France, President Emmanuel Macron's government is grappling with widespread protests against pension reforms. The French Parliament is debating new legislation to address climate change and promote renewable energy sources. Turkey is grappling with devastating wildfires along its Mediterranean coast. The government has declared a state of disaster in Antalya and Mogla provinces. These regions are experiencing significant damage and displacement due to the blazes. Greece is also battling severe wildfires, fueled by strong winds and high temperatures. Evacuations are underway in several areas, including near Athens. Firefighters are struggling to contain the rapidly spreading flames. Meanwhile, in Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is facing increasing pressure over his handling of the housing crisis. Critics argue his policies have failed to address affordability issues. Rising interest rates are exacerbating the problem for many Canadians. Pakistan is strategically focusing on economic development and agricultural improvements. Air Karachi is in talks with a Chinese jet manufacturer to acquire new aircraft, signaling its intent to begin operations. Moreover, Pakistan is partnering with Saudi Arabia and Sudan on agricultural development projects. Despite these efforts, Pakistan has received less than 50% of its pledged climate aid. France is navigating a changing political and economic environment. President Macron has announced France's plans to recognize the State of Palestine in September. French companies are opting to absorb tariff costs instead of increasing prices for consumers. In finance, the Hermes family has overtaken the Arnault family as the wealthiest in France after LVMH's fortune decreased. Saudi Arabia and Syria are embarking on joint investment projects aimed at generating 200,000 jobs. The Syrian-Saudi Investment Forum is now underway in Damascus, highlighting the deepening economic ties between the two nations. The Ghana Stock Exchange is currently experiencing a surge in trading volume, demonstrating significant growth. Singapore is trying to reinvigorate its stock market through a $5 billion initiative, though its early effects have been limited. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM Today.